we'll list our favorites too, but I do have to ask now if you have any insight into this. Now, I would assume you might not, because it's not like they were playing this. You didn't have to decode this for the Beat tour. But one specific sound that has vexed me for a while, but specifically recently, is my favorite example of Adrian's playing that I've always been like, if I could just figure out how to do that. And it's in a way, it seems obvious. Like for a long time, it was like, it's just a ring modulator, I guess. But I think there's more going on. So on the opening track to Talking Heads Remain in Light, Born Under Punches, he takes a guitar solo. Jason, you know this solo? Yeah. It sounds to me like, I remember, for a long time when I heard that as a teenager, I thought it was a telephone. I thought it was like a telephone dialing like a touch tone telephone. But there's too many notes. Like I could know that it must be a synth. But then at some point I got hip to the fact that it wasn't a synth. It was Adrian doing something. And then I've lived with that and been like, some sort of like ring mod with like a tight gate or something. Now, granted, it's like we have Adrian and his thing there, and then we have Eno producing it, right? So it's like anything could be happening. But the thing that has vexed me, especially recently, is that I've lived with that for most of my, guitar life, with that solo, and loved that solo. But when they did like the new mix for Apple, or I guess it's on Spotify too. I use Apple Music. There's a new mix from the last couple of years that's on Apple Music of that album, and it does that solo is different. Like it sounds more like a guitar. It's not as confusing. Like it doesn't have that same thing. Like the tone of that has changed, and it made me wonder, like, what sort of production decisions got there, or anything like that. Has he ever talked about that, or did you ever have to like come up with? I mean, I assume you didn't have to come up with like a sound for that song because that's playing it.
Yeah, that's interesting. Sometimes, those remixes that come out, you're like, man, this sounds awesome. I've never heard this part before. And then sometimes they come out and you're like, wait, what happened to that track? It's buried now. So I have to listen to the new one. We've definitely worked on some of his stuff because he still tours with Jerry, and does some Remain in Light stuff. Born Under Punches is definitely a preset that we have worked with. By this point, it's pretty much all lives in the Fractal. The Fractal wasn't out then, obviously, and he was a big user of the EHX frequency analyzer, which is like the old school ring mod. So I would probably attribute it to that, and again with the use of compression and fuzz, and sometimes his use of fuzz is not like people expect. Like when you hear the word fuzz, you might think of like, Smashing Pumpkins, or like you hear this real woolly thing. But when you're hitting single notes on a fuzz and you're running them into heavy compression and ring mod and stuff like that, and always a little bit of echo on there. And then probably, honestly, I would be hard pressed if the polychorus or the echo flanger was not on during that recording as well. I don't know exactly.
Just all the modulation.
Exactly. All of the modulation.
Flip on all the modulation.
And then you put Brian Eno in the behind the board being like, I like that. We're gonna keep that and do this on top of it. But that telephony sound is definitely like ring mod vibes,
Right. Yeah.
But he used a lot of other weird stuff that's like not really out like anymore, like kind of like pitch synthesizers that were like control voltage pitch things that were like you hit a note on the guitar and it doesn't make the note that you played, but it's reacting to the the CV that's coming out. It could be anything, honestly. I know that he, loves the studio aspect of getting in there and exploring and twisting knobs, and a lot of the parts in his, catalog has been experimenting after the fact, where the track has been recorded and they're just going to town on some of the effects afterwards. So I could see that too. Being something like there too, where it's like he might have tracked it with a ring mod and they might have added some stuff in post. I don't know, but now I'm going to have to ask him.
If you get an answer,
I have to find out the details. We'll drop it in the comments.
Exactly. Exactly. Okay, so we're going to interject real quick right here because time traveling forward a few days, Blair actually checked in with Adrian and got the answer. to how Adrian made the cool, crazy sounds on Born Under Punches. And here is what he texted me. Blair says, that part was created in the studio by using a Lexicon Primetime. The Primetime was a while ahead of its time rack delay. The unique part about the unit was its addition of a repeat hold button, where basically you could be playing and push a button on the unit that would grab the repeats and have them infinitely cycle over and over. After you grab the repeat, you can manipulate it. So that sound, the one that makes the one that sounds like an alien making a telephone call, is a single guitar line in the Lexicon, the repeat hold button pushed to capture the notes, and then Adrian just twisting knobs, manipulating the delay time, which in return changed the speed and the pitch of the captured sound. And I will tell you, this is me now talking, not Blair's text. I will tell you, I have heavily used that Lexicon Primetime on a number of my own recordings. I've never made that sound. I never even would have guessed that was the effect that he was using, but that is very truly my favorite delay unit, and I think it's one of the coolest effects of all effects. And I'm saying this because if anybody is hearing this and wants to make a delay pedal that just copies the functions or even some of the functions of the Lexicon Primetime, please do it and then reach out to me and I will buy it from you because it's the coolest pedal. Anyway, didn't expect that to be the answer. Now back to our show.